Is that Tom?
Oh,
Yeah, that's
okay.
And David Amram arrived and then he disappeared.
oh,
Right here.
There he
He's
is.
Are
here?
you there, David?
Do I have every? Wait a second. Am I on?
Now you're there.
David.
Brother.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? Do you see our old friend here from
Was
Croatia?
that Thomas was speaking?
Radislav.
Where?
Right
in
here.
front of you.
Am I up there? Yeah.
You're on.
Wave the hand.
Michael Spudik, Nenad Bach, and myself, Oy vey, and Doug Yeager. Where's Radislav?
I'm here. Am I in there?
Put it in
I heard a familiar voice.
the
That's
upper.
Nenad.
It will only allow for 4 people. I'm always missing one person.
In the
Uh-huh.
upper
Yeah,
corner.
I'm probably off to the side.
see.
Yeah.
In the upper corner, you have view. In the upper
Michael
corner.
Spudik.
Oh,
Right
now I
corner.
have it. I fixed it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
corner.
Okay. Okay.
So
Am I in there?
how does David get to see Radislav?
Ah,
You
David,
go
did you expand your screen fully? Is it a full
to the
screen?
upper right corner? There is a view. Upper right corner.
Yeah,
It's at the far right, upper right corner. It says view. Click on that.
And
that
then
says Zoran, but that's not Radislav.
then push gallery. You just a minute.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I see myself. I'm in there somewhere.
There you are.
Right, did you see it, David?
That is
The
love.
gallery? Yeah.
Yeah, David.
I saw you before, but I was wondering if that was you. My God, you look great.
Oh, so do you.
I was at the Folk Alliance. About 100 people asked me if I knew you or that they knew that I did know you, where you were. So I told them you're playing with the sleep at the wheel and skiing.
that was my year.
Were those skiing photos of you on Facebook from Croatia or from America?
From America. Yeah, yeah. I was out west. I was out in New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah most
Wow.
recently. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in New York, I'm on the 15th floor, so there's snow outside my window, but by the time it hits the ground, it's rain.
Yeah.
You're at
Not in
altitude.
In Queens, we don't see any snow on the ground. You know,
Oh,
nothing.
So we've had really no winter here in New York.
Nope.
yeah, I bet it's snowing where David's at though. I bet
Yeah,
it's
we
snowing
had
there.
That's true.
just enough to wish I was in Florida or somewhere or the Bahamas.
Speaking of Florida.
Yeah. That was the last show we played, David and I. We were down there for Kathy. Remember that down there in Florida?
That was fantastic.
Oh, that was so great.
She made her debut as an actress with a patch over her eye, playing with all those school kids, and she singing "Yo Ho Me Hearties" and dressed up like a pirate and playing the ukulele. What am I doing? I said, Kathy, you're a natural. Which she was. And that was amazing because they had that extra piano, so we got to
Two pianos.
play our pilgrimage. And then when we did the piece of the folkloric piece that I'd arranged with all those crazy chord changes, and you played some stuff, I said, God damn.
I love that. Yeah.
That was so nice. So the Harvard Wind Symphony finally played it at Harvard. I tried to explain how that came about.
Wow.
But it was too, I think it was a little too abstract for the house. And then I remember we did it at Okima, and I said, boy. And the amazing thing was, Radislav, when I was at Harvard and they were playing the piece, suddenly I passed an oil painting of Pete Seeger right at Harvard, of all places, because he'd been a student there. They had a picture, a big oil painting picture of him just before we played the piece. I walked by the painting, seeing Pete, who loved that music so much. So it was just, I can never thank you enough, man, for everything.
That's the coolest thing I think I ever did. I love what came together there, your changes, and oh man, I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the orchestra played it, sounded good, but I tried to explain, if the beauty of all musics, when you get around great musicians, boy, that's a blessing for a composer, I think.
And
Of course,
of
not just
course,
for
there's an
anybody.
entire chapter in a book with the night of the Woody Guthrie Centennial Concert in Tulsa and Radoslav's accordion.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Oh,
God. Yeah, it was the three of us. It was the three of us.
And the
This
crazy
trio
billionaire.
right here. My accordion had just been stolen from from Brady Theater, and the most auspicious event ever in Oklahoma. Everybody was there. My accordion is stolen, and then the three of us are commiserating. But then we're hijacked by an oil billionaire who took us to his home, and then he just wined and dined us and led us to all his haunts for 2 days straight. Very little
He
sleep
pulled
involved.
out all of his
Accordion.
war weaponry.
Oh,
Well, and then we were wielding, some serious irons, some serious firepower, and we were virtually threatening the thief of that accordion. And this continued, and it just got so surreal. But then he started buying us cowboy boots and hats, and he bought me an accordion. The man bought me an accordion.
oh, just like that. Wow.
Yeah. And then miraculously, almost a year later, on Christmas Day, the stolen accordion came back.
Whoa.
And what happened is whoever stole it, I informed them on Facebook, this thing is worth nothing. You're probably drunk. Don't worry about it. Leave it at the hotel. Well, they actually did leave it at the hotel, probably a few months later, but I never heard from the hotel. The janitor took the accordion and gave it to his wife as a Christmas present. And the wife goes, this is sweet, but I think it belongs to someone. And then there's a name on a festival sticker. It's my name. She Googled my name, my wife. Cleverly, the first thing on Google comes up, stolen accordion with the phone number. And I got the call. And 2 days later, FedEx brings me the accordion. And then it gets even better. It was in terrible shape. It was left in the sun. All of the wax had melted. It was just completely a mess. But I go to my accordion guy, Jerry Kahn, my accordion guy in Chicago. And I go, Jerry, what can you do? And then he goes, just leave it there, Rat. I'll take a look at it. And then I'll just take a look. And all of a sudden you get a call. I don't know, Rat. I don't know. This could be over $100. And he fixed it, and it sounded better than it did before. He charged me $104.
So this billionaire, and then he owned an office building. And he took us in the office building, and it was like an atrium in the center, and all of these floors going up around it. And he would take us to each floor and scream at the top of his lungs, "Everybody get out here, I've got rock stars."
Okay.
And they lined up like oh man, another day at the office, oh my God.
One of the crazy people we've ever met.
2 days straight.
I remember Doug finally said, "Look, this is really amazing what a gracious, generous person you are, but how do you make a living?" And he said, "Well," I resuscitate what seems to be wasted water, wasted oil, wasted everything, and we clean out the wells and we make the water drinkable, and then we get all the oil that's stuck there, and we put that out and sell it from abandoned oil wells." We thought, wow, that's a Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And we found out
2 months later, we learned what refracking was.
It was fracking, and there were so many earthquakes in Oklahoma that year. Finally, the newspaper said, "Hey, man, it's great to make money, but something is wrong." Of course, I have no idea. None of us do, unless we're scientists.
Right.
But suddenly, he left town and left this gigantic corporation in a sea of. He kind of like disappeared.
He disappeared.
And I'm sure he'll show up again doing something. He was like a miraculous guy. He showed us the pictures of being a kid when he was, just scuffling like a dog in Western Pennsylvania. He was a wonderful guy and very big-hearted and preposterously generous.
Yeah.
And crazy.
Absolutely. And I'm still playing the accordion he bought me. That's a great accordion.
He was a true wildcatter.
Yeah. He's a wildcatter, but he's a horizontal driller. I think that's their thing. They come in horizontally.
Wow.
And I don't know. It's probably a good way to do bad things. I don't know.
So he says he's going to drive us to the airport.
Yeah.
So heading towards the airport, and then along the way, there's this big store that says cowboy boots and hats. So he goes and buys all of his cowboy boots and hats.
The finest.
He's continuing on. Yeah.
And belts.
And belts. Yeah.
Belts.
Texans, I hope.
I still got mine. I'm strolling.
I got
over.
my hat. Yeah. Yeah.
Strolling over
Hey,
where I
you
have
have
a
a
picture.
fancy hat. Is that the
I have
hat?
a picture. I don't dare wear it.
About a
Cowboy hat?
proper 10-gallon hat. It's really great. Yeah.
I've got the big black one when he took a picture of Rad and I holding machine guns.
I got those pictures.
Oh, I know.
Like two assassins. And this was
Yeah.
the hat.
Oh, I got one like that too.
The
Yeah.
sheriff of New York.
That's what we got. I
Oh,
figured
Whenever you go out with Nenad, you need to wear this hat.
even
That's
the
right.
most egocentric
Well, you don't want to
suburban
overshadow.
That's a
bourgeois-
good hat, David. That's a
bourgeois
good.
Yankee cowboy. would be
Nenad has
proud
his
to
hat too.
wear
Hey,
that.
Nenad's going for his hat right now.
Oh my God, that looks like a good
no,
hat.
Nenad's the
That
king
is
of the hat.
Radislav,
It's all
that's
about
what
that.
authentic.
My
Oh,
hat-
you never
is
wear
Chicago.
hats. Doug, this is your opportunity. Where's your hat?
Oh,
My hat. My hat's in
He
Chicago.
comes from a
It's in
culture where he
Chicago.
was
I'm
like,
hatless.
this looks
Laron,
like
where's yours?
I'm
I keep
hatless.
that- I keep that in my museum of Almostville.
Doug is going for his.
But out of respect to the cowboy culture, I don't wear that.
But no, Nenad's got the hat. He's got.
Oh, Nana's got one too. We both had.
He's
He
got
got us both those black hats.
Yeah.
It got me a fantastic pair of boots that I gave to my son.
Yeah.
Because he looks better in them than I do, and they
Oh,
fit him.
there's Doug with his hat.
And he had a
But you know,
wonderful-
and then we leave the store and he's heading to the airport. And while he's driving, he just kind of turns his head back and he says, Rad, has anybody found your accordion yet? And Rad says, no. And he reaches in his pocket and pulls out a pile of $100 bills and gives them to Rad. He said,
Buy yourself
okay,
a-
buy it, buy
there
it.
were about $2,700 bills in there.
He
Yeah.
had this in his hand
Yeah.
while he was
And
driving.
I was the proud owner of a beautiful blue Dina Buffetti accordion. So,
Wow.
yeah.
The thing was, Rad, while he was driving, he took his hand, put it back, somehow could see in the mirror, and said, buy yourself a new squeeze box.
Exactly. And it was in small bills. Yeah.
To make sure it's 120 base, Brad.
No, it's all there. It's all there, pal.
He was a wonderful guy. And his
Those
girlfriend.
2
the
days
woman
are
who was
worthy
with-
a good chapter or two in a book.
He was with a woman who was a pilot. She was only about 5 feet tall, named January.
January Parker.
And she was
January.
Parker,
Yes.
January Parker. And she said she was a test pilot, but
The test.
5 foot tall, 90 pounds.
I don't know.
Like
Well,
Jokey.
So we were a little.
Her story was sketch, but I liked her.
they were all terrific people. But that's the
Yeah.
amazing thing that around all of us. And Doug, I don't have to tell Doug could tell some stories about his experience as a Sputnik cat too, and so can Nenad. The fantastic people that we would never meet, but through music, especially music that you love when you're doing it with and for other people, without the pretentiousness of what often happens to people who are lucky enough to quit their day job and work in music. The amazing people that you meet that you would never meet otherwise, and get some kind of a human relationship that makes you not feel like such a nutcase yourself. And secondly, just to see all the worlds that are out there, and it's through music that you have that chance to do that. What might take years or a lifetime, somehow when you're working in music, you can get, I don't know what it is, but it's worthwhile. So for all your millions of fans who watch Nenad's program, keep playing that guitar or accordion or trombone or beating on a rock or singing in the shower. Don't pack it in. Don't allow your career counselors to say, just because you suck, that you have to take their opinion, and just keep doing it anyway and hope for the best. And that's what most of us are still doing.
If I may just add one moment to that.
Please.
At that concert earlier that night, the Jimmy LaFave band performed, of which Rad was the accordionist in that band. And Rad's musical performance, and he's leaping across the stage like a ballet dancer playing his accordion, was one of the most exciting musical performances I had ever seen.
Well, I can add to that. I first came 2005 to Woody Fest, and I heard the mantra, get Rad and get the Burn Sisters. And everybody knew if they got Rad and the Burn Sisters, whoever was playing didn't even have to show up, which happened on one occasion with a very famous person who came, who was so famous she forgot that music is supposed to be with, for, and about music. And finally, she walked off the stage, and Rad and the Burn Sisters were so great that they ended up getting a standing ovation and 2 or 3 encores. But everybody, Rad played with just about everybody, and whatever style of music, it just sounded great. So after 3 years, he was such a amazing, super duper playing with everybody, making everybody sound good. I never saw him stop. Then we go out to the parking lot and play all night. I said, man, he makes me feel like a retired, disabled person. So suddenly, after 3 years, I saw him leaning against the car, drinking a Budweiser or Dos Equis or some kind of good beer, not playing. I said, Rad, are you okay, man? He said, yeah, I'm just taking a break. That was 3 years of constant playing. And so I would just suggest to all the people watching, if you're a musician, try to get to know Rad or check him out. And you'll see that playing for and with other people and making them sound good is the highest level you could reach. And then if you're lucky enough to get some of his CDs and hear him as a leader with his own stuff, writing some of those fantastic songs he writes and sings, which are as good as any I've ever heard by anybody. He does that too. But at the same time, he can do all that other stuff, plus knowing all the music of the Balkans and from Yugoslavia and what used to be Yugoslavia and Croatia and classical music from Europe and just about every idiom. It's possible to do more than one thing. And we're trained in this country, you know, if you can put the left fender on and get good at that, you just stay there for 30 years doing the same thing and hoping you don't get caught when you're asleep or the fender's about to fall off and you put her on with some chewing gum, but do a good job and maybe learn about the right fender and then see how the whole car works and then go from there into doing something else. It's not a bad thing to be good at more than one thing, and to be a thorough musician, you'd have to live about 700 or 800 years just to get started. So Rad, I'm glad you're in the program, and I'm glad especially younger musicians who are told how much everything is hopeless can get to see you and hear you, because the future of music is going to be people who love music and do it well and care about it and care about the people that they're playing with, have respect for others and make everybody else sound better. That's the highest level you can reach. That's why everybody wants you to play with them.
Did you hear that train horn right at the?
That was pretty
you, Rod.
cosmically timed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And David, if I may add to the Rad Fest here, Rod, I was mentioning earlier when your name came up, I was listening to something, I think it was over YouTube, and it was a Croatian composer, Dora Pijacevic, could it be?
Oh.
And I saw your name, like you had some very interesting comments to people, like you're out there listening to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I mean, that was you. I mean, it was your name.
Yep. I'm trying to recall checking that out, but boy, I tell you, there's some great Croatian composers. I'll give my famous grandma a nod. She was the premier classical pianist of our nation of Yugoslavia in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But she specifically recorded and and she really championed great Croatian composers. And there's amazing ones out there, older and contemporary, of course, as well. The guy I really like is the guy, he has kind of a Greek name. His name is Papadopoulos.
Yes.
And his music is happening.
I've heard one of his piano pieces, and it's a young Croatian pianist who's studying in Germany. I think it's Stuttgart. She recorded. I wonder if you've seen that. It's about 3 minutes long, but it's unbelievably virtuoso.
She played quite a bit of Papadopoulos. Every time I hear Papadopoulos, I just jump out of my seat. It's just amazing. It's
typical
really
Croatian name, right?
I know, Greek dude, Papadopoulos.
Right. Probably historical circumstances, right? That he ended up.
We're all Balkans. We all get it. There's, we have, we're from all over the place.
Not just itch at the end of the name, right? You're not just.
Yeah.
Rod, in case you have never seen it, go to YouTube and put Odetta, Something Inside So Strong, and the two of you are performing at a large outdoor amphitheater. And
I have been there, and that's the one that's the one that makes the statement. That was our moment.
It was just a few months before she died.
Exactly, and she was doing great. We went to Bermuda after that. We had so much fun, and then just suddenly we lost her. And the last two shows were in Toronto, and then last thing she told me was, "I'll see you in Chicago." We had a show scheduled in Chicago. It didn't happen. Yeah.
And before Toronto.
Yeah.
A few days before Toronto, you played before 125,000 people in San Francisco.
Exactly.
And you had a host of stars sitting on the edge of the stage, just watching and listening to grandmother.
Showing how it's done. Oh man, there were so many. There was so much. There was one night where it was the one show we had to cancel. Then we rescheduled it in Mill Valley at the Throckmorton Theater, and every Maria Muldaur, but then Bob Weir and Bonnie Raitt.
Jack was there.
Jack was there. Everybody was there. We had this nice dinner with Bob Weir and Bonnie. Bonnie was just it was epic. Yeah.
I want to introduce you, for you who don't know, Zoran Orlik. He's my friend from Chicago and a famous photographer.
Oh yes, we connected after our last meeting, and we are connected, and we plan to meet in possibly in the islands, maybe possibly this summer, but we are in touch.
Yeah, no, we can be. We had our Greg Brown explosion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I sort of knew, as I like the liner notes. I saw your name, but never followed up. So that was pretty crazy to connect all that. So that was really cool.
I haven't heard Greg's name in a long time.
I just want to say a few words about Zoran. He belongs to, I have category favorite human category, which means that you have to be world-class professional and have a heart of gold.
Great.
That's Zoran. Zoran made the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, his photo, and did produced and directed videos for me. I will follow you. Everything is forever. And another one, Digital Revolution, and he's just like an amazing artist and great man. I have to admit, really somebody that I admire. So just that you know.
We're happy to have you with us, Soren.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the space.
You also manage frames and what's his name from Ireland?
Glenn Hansard, yeah.
Glenn Hansard.
Yeah.
And just like overall amazing. You know, he just fits right within you.
Well, what I was thinking when I'm listening to all these stories is one of my favorite portions of being involved with music. I don't play anything, and my only way into music was photographing musicians to be able to hang out with them. But, so that was literally my in. But I often think, I was thinking earlier when I'm listening to these stories, of course the music is amazing and important, and why these stories are there. But I almost think that the music is just a bridge to these incredible stories that would otherwise never exist. So I can sit around listening to stories. I love sitting in record sessions, you know, the 18 hours a day, just listening to all the crazy history and you know, and stories like this. Sometimes they don't even have an opportunity to come out. It's these little moments where certain heads come together and things just get flood out, and it's important. So it's cool. So I thank you for inviting me.
Well, the average guy who, you know, has a great job working in a hardware store, he doesn't have the opportunity to travel and meet all the bizarre people and have these stories. And so people in this business, we're very fortunate to have that opportunity.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, music is a gateway. It's a gateway to understanding and all kinds of things that we can't even imagine, and be able to make that soul to soul connection. That's what you do in music. And to make the ESP connection, that's what you do. So all the stuff that people who are independently wealthy spend a fortune having a guru or a dope dealer or a psychiatrist or a counselor or counselors, that's fine. But man, you get all that stuff for free if you could be an inveterate hangoutologist, which means to forget about how important you never thought you might have possibly been if you'd been someone else, and you've been encouraged that you should be that someone else, so you can finally get on top of the manure pile and tell everybody to go shove it until someone else grabs your slot, and then you're an ex-manure pile king and you have to clamber your way back up. That's one way you could spend your life, and that's fine for those who wish to be that way. But then when you meet a lot of people like that, and they're so wretchedly miserable and unhappy and such a drag to be with, and make you feel so sick in the stomach that you figure, wait a minute, I've been geared all my life to be Mr. Super Swine. Maybe that's not the way to go. Well, there's such a beautiful level once you see that every single person has something to offer. Everyone has something to teach a lesson to you about. Everyone has a heritage or heritages that they're all beautiful. And then if you're lucky enough to travel around, you go to other countries or other parts of the US and you say, man, these people are doing fine without me. That's like a shocking thing. And then you can just sort of realize you're just part of the human species wandering around trying to figure out what to do, and that maybe doing a good job, having respect for others, working hard, caring about your family, all those dumb things that we're told are adolescent waste of time, turn out to be pretty hip after all. And once you see that, you can actually achieve something. And the wonderful thing that author Frank McCoy's mom said about him was, Frank is only happy when he's miserable. Well, that can apply to a lot of people when you're feeling down or not miserable. You can say, well, man, you're just joining every other human being that feels maybe it's all over or their life is a drag or they're confused or lost. Well, that's what everybody goes through. So that's what we all have in common. But rather than wallowing in the misery, we can look for that beauty part, and you can find that in the most unlikely places if you pay attention. That's my heavy thoughts for the evening.
Yes,
All of
sir.
which
Yes,
you know
sir.
about anyway. And Doug always encourages me after he's heard the same thing 4,000 times to say, you know, David, maybe you should let other people talk.
Keep going.
That's why Doug is here. He's there to say that,
Doug.
and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
So let me show you little clips of what Zoran did. Just
Okay.
not the whole video, but just
A little review? Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Just
Wonderful.
let me see if I know how to do it.
Where in Chicago do you live, Zoran?
I'm in the southwest suburbs, little town called Lamont.
Hmm.
I grew up on a farm 40 miles west in Batavia
Oh, wow. Okay.
when it
Yeah.
was 5,000 people. Now it's about 40,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm in Charlottesville. I'm in Crozet, Virginia, near Charlottesville. I'm on tour with my buddy Ellis Paul. He's down here too, but I live in Palatine.
Ah, yeah.
Palatine, not Palestine.
Not Palestine. Not that. No, that's Ohio.
Yeah.
I
Palatine.
was 7 years old, had my tonsils taken out, and the kid in the next bed was from Palatine,
Yes.
but I never got there.
Sorry, this is the
Oh, these are the
The
photos.
red phone,
Incredible.
the president.
Filming. Yeah, music video. Everything is forever. Just be sure.
Oh man.
Okay. Right? Good? Awesome? No. Don't touch anything. Just feed your possum.
Sweet.
Everything is forever. Nothing feels the same. Everything, just everything is for better. That's the only way I can explain. How many summers in front of us? How many loved ones we left behind? How many cups of coffee in front of me? How many friends still alive? Everything.
So this is the one, and I'll show you the next one.
John Lennon would be proud of that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Reminded me of John Lennon.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good drummer playing with you too, Rad.
What is the hat?
Hey, how is Paul? Yeah, I'm in Chicago. I'm filming a music video. I will follow you.
Too many leaders, no one to follow. Too many clouds, not enough rain. Too many words and promises, too hard to swallow. Too many innocents die in vain. I can tell you how it used to be. Oh, let me write another melody. I can tell you how it used to feel when we stood up for what we believed. So I will follow you. 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 Too many bankers, not enough money. If it wasn't serious, it would be funny. Too many artists, not enough art. Too much marketing, not enough heart. I can tell you how it used to be. Let me ride another melody. I can tell you how it used.
Anyway, this is
So great.
Beautiful.
Such great work. Oh my God. I mean, me, but the music, cinematography, and my Chicago. Yeah.
How was Chicago?
when I walked along the empty street, that was the empty street for they made a big movie on the other side, and there was a guy with the machine gun at the end of the street, and I walked with him with my hands behind, and he was getting nervous.
Yeah.
And as I walked,
He was, you couldn't see him because of Nenad. He was like literally behind Nenad, but he was just staring at us, ready to approach. It was like,
I'm wondering.
What movie was it? Did you later see the film?
I have no idea what the film was. We just used the empty street.
Excellent.
Walk in the middle of the day.
Excellent.
It was a Sunday, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man, how do you get the street cleared? And that's how you do it.
yeah, it was a quiet Sunday.
It was done in 3 hours. I think 2 or 3 hours. We finished filming.
Yeah,
something like that. But then editing
John
session.
Flynn. Yay.
Hello.
Hey, gentlemen. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. You missed everything.
I know.
Is this Mr.
I had-
Flynn?
Yes.
John Flynn.
Hey.
Hello, Rod.
Hey, man.
Good to
how
see you,
you
brother.
doing, John? Good to see you.
Hey, John, are you in Maryland? And Rad, you're in Virginia? That's not
I'm in
too
Virginia
far.
right now. We're close. We're close. Yeah.
No, I'm in Delaware, but not too far.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Anyway, that was Zoran's work. He also
Oh,
took a number of photos. He was with me when I did the War Piecing on Hour in Lancaster. He took a photograph of the whole concert, and also he was with me in Croatia, where we played in Lisinski Hall with the whole band.
Oh man.
So just for
That's the best. That's the best.
for decades, and
That's the best.
I wish one day we could see David Amram performing in Croatia. You know, Zagreb,
That would be nice.
and the coast.
As they say, my bags are packed. I'd like to say, since John Flynn's here, he
Make
knows
that happen. Let's
No,
John-
we got to do it, right?
Let's
But
make
John
it
knows-
happen.
Croatian energy here tonight.
Yeah.
John knows Ellis
Yeah.
Paul, who I didn't know Rad was playing with. And Ellis, when you see, he's from Maine, and still waters run deep. So when you meet musicians, writers, artists, people, anybody from Maine, look out. Show any signs of being human, they'll tell you the best stories and the best jokes and the best experiences of anybody.
Speaking
But-
of which, say hello.
When we did the program at Woody Fest, my son
There he is.
met Ellis when he was there's Ellis.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how are you?
In 2005, like
Hey,
everybody.
Alice.
Good to
He's like
see
a
you.
master songwriter, and there was my son who had never sung one of his songs in public before, and we were on a workshop, and someone didn't show up, so Ellis was there with myself, who's a good backup player, and my son, who backs me up, but he never done. And there he was sitting in Woody Fest at the Crystal Theater, and instead of Ellis saying, "Get out of my face, you suck," the usual way people treat one another if they can get away with it, he was you not he, you're like you're right here, were so supportive and so beautiful to him and made him feel so good. He'll never forget that. And now, in addition to all the other stuff he does, he has he'll have that his whole life. So whatever adversity or schmucks he comes across, which we all do every 5 seconds, he'll know better because there's somebody in his life that, without saying a word, made him feel, maybe I'll give this another 2 years anyway. And you did that, Elvis. Aside from being such a great songwriter, such a great guy, that's something I'll never forget. And more important, he'll never forget. And if you can do that for anybody, can do that for one person in their life. When we were at the Folk Alliance this year, which I wish you'd been out as you have been so often, they were so fantastic people from all over the world. And so many people were that way. And with Janice Ian and Tom Paxson was sort of like the old, super successful veterans. They were so gracious to everybody. I was thinking about you. In fact, I called up Adam and told him, man, there's some people doing for others what was done for you. And that's a heck of a thing. I just wanted to mention that because I was going to ask Rad to give you a big thank you. So,
well, thanks. It's nice to hear it in person.
Adam and myself, I want to thank you for just making a person who never would have felt that in his life about doing that and being able to do that. That's a heck of a thing.
Well, he did great. It's great to see you guys. I'll hand you back to Radislav. I hope to see you soon, Dave, somewhere down the road. All right. Cheers, guys.
Good travel.
You too.
You have a good tour.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You know, actually, Ellis and I are in the middle of The Big Lebowski right now. And we got to crank it back up. And we're wrapped. We're absolutely wrapped. We're mesmerized.
You look like you could be in that film, Rad.
I'm working on it, man. Man. All right. All the best to you, Doug. Wow. And David and Nenad, thank you for the invitation. And man,
It's got to come back more often. You and Alice have to come back on the program.
Usually first Tuesday of the month. Usually this is second Tuesday, but it's usually first Tuesday of the month.
First Tuesday of the month. Let's hangoutology for indefinite.
Absolutely.
Tuesday, it's hangoutology.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Like
and let's bring Mr. Amram to Lisinski Hall. Let's work on that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Would that be something?
Yeah. I think it would go over huge. So
it'd be an opportunity for David to learn another language.
Oh, he'd learn it in about a week. He's that way.
Just when I sang Vingo, 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 every day. And I thought, man, I'm really going to get down with the get down. The ambassador came up to me and he said, you know, David, that's a Serbian song or something. I said, oh, I was singing the wrong
table.
That's how you learn culture and conduct, by screwing up and having someone hip you to the happenings that perhaps your heart was in the right place, but you were doing the wrong thing at the right time.
Man, my closer every night is a Serbian song too, which is all getting me. So what can I say?
When I wrote the piece for Elmira Darvarova, the great Bulgarian violinist, I couldn't use any Macedonian music. It's the only thing we can play in Romania and everywhere, because everybody fighting with everybody, is this beautiful Bulgarian wedding song, because everybody plays that, whatever country they're in. It says it's their song. So it's okay, but that music is so magnificent. There's so much of it. I encourage all the people that watch, that are fans of Nenad, and all of you guys to go on YouTube and check out some of the music from Bulgaria and Estonia and Latvia. Holy cow. and you hear those rhythms and then see all the people dancing and singing. And when they got a 17/4 rhythm, it doesn't sound like they ran out of ideas, so they have to have a weird time meter. It's swinging. Everybody can do that and make it perfect. And that makes Mozart and Charlie Parker and the great Irish and folk singers and Michael Row Your Boat Ashore and Beethoven and Mozart and everybody else sound better because it's from the heart, it's sincere, and a lot of it's older than the cultures that we grow up with. And for people who are slaves of pop music, we can hear how beautiful some of that music sounds. I was just listening to Hazel Dickens. Good Lord, is she fantastic. My daughter Alana finally hit me to her music, has a whole collection of stuff of hers, and hearing how some of those songs that they sing, oh my God. And then hearing Tom Paxton sing the other night for 2 hours at his birthday party was just so beautiful. You know, there's so much great music out there, and the great music enables you to be with some great people, and that makes it all worthwhile.
Actually, people never complain about whether music is from Montenegro or Serbia or Bosnia or Macedonia. People love the music, no matter where they are. Music never divided people.
No,
Music
absolutely not.
So
And it's
yeah.
It's bigger than all of us, thank heavens.
I close my show with "Get at Me," Montenegrin song. It's the coolest song ever.
But rhythm that Macedonian rhythm is quite extraordinary. Yeah, that's typical rhythm.
Hmm.
You can hear, yeah.
Yeah.
1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3.
Unbelievable.
So they played like drinking water. They know exactly. It's in their blood. You know.
As an
Someone
American
asked-
growing up in New York, I just want to say that the Tamburitzans would come to New York from Duquesne University in Pittsburgh.
Oh, they're good.
And
Yeah.
that would introduce us, you know, ethnic background Croatian, but they would perform all the variety of the region, all the music.
They do it all. Yeah.
I loved it as a kid. Wow.
So cool. Oh man, gentlemen, I sign off, and I can't wait till the next one. I cannot wait.
All
Say
right.
hello to the dude for us.
Yeah,
Oh, the
okay.
dude.
I got a date. Okay. Okay, guys.
Take her easy, Rad.
See you.
Love you
Bless
guys.
you, Rad. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
John, you too, man.
John, right on.
Alice, all you guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. John, are you coming from work?
I am. Yeah, that's why I'm late. I
Oh,
was.
that's a serious
You're
work.
very dark, John. I
Oh,
don't
it's-
mean normally you are. I'm just saying
In his background.
hard to see you.
Yeah.
like I'm just illuminated by the screen of my laptop, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Like,
How was work today, John?
We had a good group. Good bunch of guys working through some stuff, you know. One of our fellas, he lives down in Myrtle Beach, had a bit of a crisis this week, and fortunately he was able to reach out to you know, some of the guys he knows through the program, and I was able to orchestrate a little conversation that led to him pouring a bottle of vodka down the drain and kind of saving his freedom. And so we talked about, you know, how you get to a place where I think the whole idea is, somebody said, I pray that someday I'll change, you know, and I said, just the prayer itself is evidence that you've changed. You know, just the fact that you want to change shows that the work is paying off, because there was a time when you wouldn't have reached out, you wouldn't have made that, you know, you wouldn't have prayed that prayer. So, you know, you have to celebrate and you have to pay attention to what's happening. So kind of, it's a lesson, you know.
Zoran, John works with people who were imprisoned and are free now. So
Yeah,
he's
we work with guys inside a prison and when they come home. So we kind of keep the circle going on the outside. But I wanted to thank Nenad because I watched David's. Well, I didn't get through all 3 hours yet, but I'm over 2 hours, and I think it's just incredible. I mean, I knew I loved this guy, but I didn't. I'm honored to know him now. Gosh. David, have you written a book? Have you written volumes?
It's in progress. How many volumes?
The story of your life is, I mean, the people you've met and the stories you tell and the philosophy you impart. Like I keep thinking, I've worked my whole life to just try and get close to where this guy seemed to start out, like just to the way you look at the world. So
he's writing his 4th memoir now.
His 4th. So you do have books out. I didn't know that. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I have 3 out. Thank you for even asking. No, I have 3 books out. And the editor who congratulated me, no, first Sterling Lord, who was Kerouac's editor, agent rather, congratulated me. He said, "You beat Jack's record." I said, "Wow. What do you mean?" He said, "He only got 26 rejections for On the Road. You got your 27th rejection." So finally, I met this person, Dean Berkenkamp, who's like a saint. And rather than saying, "Go shove it," they don't quite say that. But that's essentially what you're told. You suck. He said, "I love everything you've done. I study composition. I've read it in old books for 40 years. My first thought was, man, if the guy doesn't think I suck, he must not be any good." Because all these other big time. Anyway, to make a long story short, I realized if you have one person in your life that can say yes, that's all you need. So I'm still working, and now he's spent 4 years writing a book about me and my life, all the places music has taken me. And I'm starting on my 4th book now. I'm 12 years late. It was going to be David Amram the first 80 years, but since I'm 92, I kind of missed the deadline. But it's going to be mostly stories about other people and what I've learned from them and how they've inspired me. And that continues. So even in the darkest moments, I guess I realize how lucky I am. That's why I admire what you do so much, because you work with prisoners rather than imprisoning yourself or keeping them in prison that society deems as the place where we should just warehouse and store people and pretend they're not there or punish them. You're dealing on a human level, aside from being a hell of a musician. And that's a beautiful thing. And you're doing for others as well as for yourself and your own family. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's something everybody can do. They don't have to be in the music field.
Amen.
If you love your work and you care about other people and the world you're living in, you're different. And I kept meeting people like that, and they were the ones that inspired me not to go down the drain or acquiesce to dwelling in the outhouse, if you're lucky to even be assigned to an outhouse, but maybe to realize that there's something we were all put here to do. If we can find that, then just to go ahead and do it and try to do a good job. And that in itself is a heck of a thing. But those are such simple ideas, and you can't triple your money or become a gigantic multi-billionaire overnight by doing what takes a lifetime just to get started. So essentially, you have to look to other places, I think, and other people. But the reward is you stay healthy, you feel good, your kids turn out to be a whole lot nicer, and you can have fun and enjoy other people and the beauty that surrounds us. But all you guys know that anyway. And I'm still trying to get educated myself. And maybe that's a good thing.
David, a bridge for what you were saying earlier. I think John is also with his music. Like you were talking about the power of music and how, it unites people and it goes global, and it's this, there's such a dimension. But with John, I guess he can take music and then with the smallest group of people and incarcerated people, I guess he's liberating them in a way. He's doing something very, very special with that music. Am I right about that, John? I mean, you're taking your guitar into places as well.
I do from time to time, but mostly it's just a support group. We just try to create an atmosphere of trust and get guys to be able to open up a little bit. But I do a few concerts a year, and
right, so
that's
my question. Do you use music at that level? Because I don't know you that well to have experienced it, but is it a part of
it's not a part of the work it's not a part of the work that I do, but it's part of who I am. So I bring it with me.
You bring with you.
I remember the first time I wrote a song, it came out of a discussion that happened in the prison. And actually, some of you guys know Reggie Harris, my buddy, and Reggie had come in as a guest speaker because I was dealing with a lot of Black young men, and at that point in my life, I hadn't known many Black people, honestly, and they were talking about stuff that I didn't really understand. And Reggie, God bless him, he would let me call anytime and just ask all these questions that, like a white guy would be embarrassed to ask. And Reggie would say, that's what we need. We need to just be able to talk to each other, and because how else are we ever going to come together and learn? So Reggie would just, he would just field endless questions from me and explain. So anyway, I asked him to come into the prison as a guest speaker. And if you remember a guy named Don Imus, he was on the radio. And he got in trouble for some really cruel remarks about a woman, a basketball player, I think from Rutgers.
Right.
And Reggie came in that week, and he wanted to talk about the power of language and the power of names, and so Reg asked everyone in the room what their name was and what that name stood for. What do they know the meaning of their name, and is it connected to their life in some way? And it was this incredibly rich discussion. I mean, I had no idea that these guys would dig in so deeply. And so I wrote a song called Reggie's Question, which is on an album way back. But the next week I took my guitar, I got permission from the ward. I took my guitar in and I played this. And of course, there's nothing that makes a room full of young Black men more nervous than a middle-aged white guy with an acoustic guitar saying, look, I just wrote a song, I'm going to play it for you. So they're like, oh my God. but I played this song, and this young man says, Mr. Flynn, if you play that song for white people, you won't have any fans at all. You were listening, you were paying attention. So I keep telling people, ask, do you change these guys? And I said, no, you go in to be changed. And I think every week I'm changed in some real way. And by taking that open heart in, that's where the power lies. That's where the connection lies, I think. So I promised myself I wouldn't talk too much tonight because I know I was blabbing a lot. So I just want to just kind of listen.
Great.
Well, we're waiting for the documentary to be made about your work.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of people doing good work, and I'm just learning as I go along and picking up stuff.
How many years are you doing this, John?
It'll be 18 this summer. I started volunteering 18 years ago. It started once a week, and then it was twice a week, and then some guys got out of prison and it was 3 times a week, and then it was another prison, and then volunteers and raising money and nonprofit. And so it's become about half of what I do for a living now. But it's, it's changed my life. And, it's really going back to what David was talking about. Whenever you get a chance to get out of yourself and get into any kind of flow, I was thinking, I love to listen to Mr. Amram talk because, just the passion to, he just gets into the flow. And I could listen to a plumber. If he's passionate about his work, I could listen to him explain it and I'd be fascinated. It's one of the reasons I love Ramblin' Jack. Some people, Jack gets on their nerves, but I spent 18 hours. I got to Jack's house one time. It's a quick story. Got to Jack's house 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he said, I'm going out to buy an onion. Do you want to go with me? I had just flown across the country. And I parked my rental car. I got into Jack's he called his Gutless Supreme. We took off down the Pacific Coast Highway, and we got back at 6 o'clock the next morning. It was 4 in the afternoon, and we left for an onion, and we got back at 6 in the morning, and we did not have the onion, you know.
Lot of feeling.
But he's, you know the feeling. But man, you know, I love to listen to that man because I mean, he could talk. He was talking about a sleeping bag he just bought, a cowboy sleepy, you know, bedroll, and you know the stories and the, you know, I don't know. I was transfixed. So you know, I love people who are in love with being alive and what they do. So
he's one of the great storytellers.
Oh my gosh. Chris Christopherson said, Jack can hold you spellbound for longer on a subject you have no interest in whatsoever, you know, than anybody on the planet. And it's true, you know, because you just see him light up. It's so wonderful.
David, where did you first meet Jack?
Yeah.
Where I met him on the Arlo had me on the City of New Orleans tour, and Jack was on that tour. And we got to be fast friends. And then, as a matter of fact, he invited me out to his place after that. That's why we ended up hanging out together.
Ah. And David, when did you meet Jack Elliott?
I really got to know him in 1960. He came out to the beach. We were staying. I used to see him and hear him sing. It knocked me out. You know, he was such a wonderful player too. He was a great, you know, finger picker aside from everything else, flat picker. But he was just so amazing. And he came one time to visit me out at the beach and stayed for 31 days. And I was sorry to see him go. So much fun.
And one day.
And so much fun to play with and to hang out with. And his stories were just so miraculous. I remember when John was speaking, since the program was called HANGOUTOLOGY, I played with this woman who was one of Jack's proteges. Bob Dylan was writing a song, one of his famous songs, and he went to her place supposedly, and she used to go in Harlem and take the church bus down south before all the civil rights became a popular thing, before there was television coverage. And then she would risk her life and go down with some of the church people and come back, drive all the way back up to work in the church. And she was a wonderful folk singer. You were at that concert, Doug, when she sang. Yep. The great singer. And she said, look, I want you to play with me. I said, oh my Lord, it would be an honor. She said, but just keep it simple. I said, okay. So she sang this beautiful gospel song that became a slave song as a spiritual. And I kept hearing just those beautiful church harmonies. He said, no, man, no. Simple. Finally, I realized what I should do was to play almost nothing. So that's what I did. She said, that was fine. I hardly played anything, you know, because that was. So the gentleman she was with said, man, he said, you did all right. You didn't mess up or mess her up or do too much. I said, well, you know, I thought really what she wanted was almost nothing. So that's kind of what I ended up doing. And he said, well, how did you figure how to do that? I said, well, I learned that at the University of Hangoutology. And he said, well, my University of Hangoutology that I still attend myself is on 134th Street and Lenox Avenue. And I stand on the corner and just hear people talking. He said, that's continuing education for me. And I wanted to mention that because I think that's so much of what we learn. I'm sure John learns that from the prisoners as much as they learn from him. And we all learn from one another when we're in that frame of mind of trying somehow to do the right thing and making an effort and realizing usually it's right there and it's simple to figure out, but that's usually the last thing. If you want to learn how to cook, you get the Escoffier cookbook, read the first page, and then you need a Robert sauce, and you need all the stuff that you have to be a professional chef to even know how to begin, rather than saying, could you play that again slower, please? Thank you, please, thank you, please, please, thank you. Could you do that one more time? Where's the one? Dick and Jane run up the hill. Bow wow, here's Spot. You know, we learn all that stuff. We learn how to speak and sing before we know how to write what we're saying or speaking down. And we learn music by hearing it and feeling it before we learn how to notate it. And all those things are related, but we have everything backwards where we make it as hard as possible and to make it look more sophisticated or to show that we're how brilliant we are. And sometimes you forget what it's all about in the first place. So after you've finished all your schooling, you have to unlearn everything and start from scratch. And usually the University of Hangoutology shows common sense, keeping it for real, and the essence of what stuff is about. And then from there, you can go off into your flight of fancy. So that's, I think, kind of what all of us learn about. When I met Nenad, excuse me, I so mispronounced it. So many years ago,
Hungarian, Nemeth.
Nenad, that his third week in New York, I was playing at Bradley's Bar, trying to do the best I could with a trio, and I met this guy, and I just knew, said, man, that guy with the big hat, he's got something special. And you can kind of tell that with people, and everyone does have something special. If you're lucky enough to meet someone that does, that will share some of that something special with you, you got yourself a friend and someone you can be with for your whole life and develop, who will also cool you out. So if you're acting incorrectly, they'll let you know that.
I have a question, Nenad, to you, Nenad. You met Nora Guthrie like within days of arriving in the United States?
No. I met her at the Grammys, but I spoke with Nora today, and she's sending her love to all of you.
Oh,
by the way. So, but let me. I show to David the last time last Tuesday. I showed him the video that a couple of minutes of ping pong Pakistan in Pula. Do you mind if I share with you? I'll show you. Yeah, let me just find out if you want to see.
Sorry that Murray's not here.
Yeah, I reminded
That's where
him.
he spends his vacations in Pula.
Right.
Here we go.
We'll have to have Murray next time.
Do you hear this?
Why are some New York homeowners still paying for electricity when they could be getting free government assistance to go solar?
Ah, yes.
Coming here with hundreds of people with Parkinson's from 20 countries, it's been an amazing journey.
Wow.
It's a way of
I think I'm muted. Am I muted?
Are in the same condition together and having fun.
Well, it means a lot playing in New York,
This
in
guy's
Berlin.
playing ping pong in the Roman
I get
Coliseum.
more and more friends, and it's
The guy I'm watching,
so
he's
much
showing a
fun
film
and
strip.
togetherness, and it's a lot of joy.
That's okay, they can see me.
Meine Family und wir kommen ja hier, weil wir alle befreundet sind, weil wir alle, weil wir uns alle lieb haben und weil wir alle ein Schicksal haben, aber wir sind alle so stolz darauf, dass wir hier sein dürfen, dass wir uns hier für einsetzen dürfen, dass wir auf unsere Krankheit aufmerksam machen dürfen, dass wir sagen wir, Parkinson würdig vertreten können. Ja.
Das sind die aktiven Parkinson-Patienten, die sich nicht der Krankheit geschlagen geben, sondern aktiv dagegen was unternehmen. Und das ist das Entscheidende, ja.
We need this exercise to feel better in our sickness. And I couldn't think of that I should stand here 10 months ago when I started playing table tennis in Stockholm.
Our goal is to help people now, not in 2 weeks, not in a month, not in a year. Now, just come and try to play.
I would say start to play ping pong because it's making you better in your Parkinson, both the motoric problems, but also with the cognitive ones you have in your head. You're getting more focused, you're getting more balance, you're getting stronger, you're getting quicker. It's giving you everything.
Die Neurologen merken, dass Sport gut ist bei Parkinson und sie werden merken, dass insbesondere Tischtennis gut ist. Und deswegen sage ich, wartet ab. Und wenn ihr euch von eurem Ärzten überzeugen lasst, zum Tischtennis zu gehen, dann wartet noch 2 Jahre, dann werden wir euch sagen, wenn ihr schlauer seid als eure Ärzte, dann kommt zum Tischtennis.
It works every aspect of your body, your brain, everything. Every ball is different. It's lovely. Keep smiling always. Keep spreading love. Keep playing people like us. Love all. Love people like us.
Beautiful, Nenad.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was done maybe last week.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
it's beautiful to see that again. Every time there's something new.
Yeah.
Well, will you have something this summer? Is there an event coming?
Yes, I'm going to Germany in May 11th. We will have German Open, and we have in September a World Championship in Austria.
In Austria.
And then we have also in Barcelona a small tournament in July. So it is. I'll be in Europe a lot. So anyway.
And Nenad, was there a development last month? You said you couldn't speak about it. It was like it was still embargoed information.
I cannot remember what was
Had
about.
something to do with funding, or with the country was going to sponsor you, or there was going to be a major grant
in Germany.
In Germany, yeah. That's still hush. It's still
okay.
Not public information. Yeah.
Okay.
But keep fingers crossed because it's
Fingers
major.
crossed.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank you, all of you who are here tonight. I really appreciate, and it all started with David and his philosophy of people talking. And at this age where we are engaged with gadgets and commercials and advertisements, people rarely speak to each other less. And this is the moment when we can just, we are not, we don't need to be entertained. We entertain ourselves.
And he's working on his 4th volume of his memoirs. So I hope we're not taking David away from that.
No.
Busy
This
man.
was education. Just to be with you all is very, very inspiring.
Mm.
And I'm sure everybody watching feels the same way. It's just beautiful.
And if I might put in a plug, David, your volumes are available online. Like John, if you were to Google, you'll see. I think people, Amazon or wherever you would shop or, buy a book.
Is it best to take them in line? Start with one, or is it?
Yes.
When you recommend, Doug, David?
I'd start with number 1 is called Vibrations.
Oh, that one has the title Vibrations. Mm-hmm.
It was 1968, right, David?
Yeah, that's when it came out. But I was just lucky. I still am lucky. But I was just lucky to be able to do that. And a lot of the stuff, when I read it now, I can't even remember. I would have forgotten that.
That's why you wrote this.
That's right.
Mostly, I enjoy reading the index because I see all those people. I said, oh my God. And some of them were like these fantastic people. I guess most people never heard of, but so what? They were just so terrific. And the second one, Offbeat, collaborating with Kerouac, was talking about that whole community, not just the Beats generation, which was a franchise term used later on, as we have so many. And the third one, Upbeat, 9 Lives of a Musical Cat. That was the first book I wanted to write.
That's another title, 9 Lives of a Musical Cat.
Yeah, but I was told nobody's going to buy that. They were all, they wanted sex, death, rock and roll, Lester the Molester, and all that stuff. Well, that's fine, but a lot of other people have that covered. Anyway, Sonny Rollins, when I was playing with Mingus and he came back and he was playing so great, I said, Sonny, I heard a guy just play that. All he did was play one note for 4 minutes. He said, don't put that cat down. That's the best he can do. Whoa. In other words, don't be judgmental as a 24-year-old. Just see what it is. And if you don't dig it, someone else has already done it anyway. So do something else. Don't wallow in negativity, criticizing, Anyway, that's kind of what I learned, or what I keep reminding myself of every day. So when I have an attack of nastiness, envy, greed, disappointment, or revulsion, I say, wait a minute. That's already someone else showing you something that you feel you don't have to be involved in, because they're already doing that. And when you hear someone that's 10 times better than you'll ever be, you say, well, I guess I'll just try to do what I can do better. And that's what everybody has to do. And it's high Charles every day. But God invented, or God or whoever, goddess or whatever, the 2 greatest inventions of the 20th century, the eraser and the wastebasket. So if you improvise most of your life, you're also prepared, maybe like those old woodcutters, they make those fantastic things with chainsaws and they make statues, or a painter or a poet or a bricklayer, you get a chance to do it a little better. So it doesn't hurt to try to redo it and, make it appear effortless and to say something. So if you get that, then you have your life's work cut out for you to hopefully do it. And when you hear something good and see somebody beautiful, you can appreciate them. And that's a heck of a thing. And that's what makes it nicer growing older, because you get to get more interested in other people. And you don't stare in the mirror that much because you see all those wrinkles and white hair. Say, oh man, who's that creep in the mirror? Well, you have a song I wrote about that called The Old Man in the Mirror, about just with that idea. You can appreciate what other people are doing, what other people are feeling. And that's very rewarding. And also to see other people, they got that, you could feel they got that spark, they got something inside of them. And then you realize, well, that's the way I was when I was 12 years old. And someone, instead of just blowing you off totally like you were a piece of garbage actually would say hello or smile or do something. So you could kind of realize that's part of the gig. Now it's your turn to try at least to impersonate a human being. That's a big enough challenge to keep you hopping. And then that way you don't let the old age get to you to that extent. Except when you're waking up and you feel, oh God, groaning, can't hardly, oh man, you can hardly move. But once you get everything humming along, you can almost imagine that you're still here. And when someone says, hey, looking good, you don't tell them how rotten you're feeling or how rotten what you've done is or how disappointing things are, because no one wants to hear that stuff.
On that note, let me finish with this video that I think Zoran needs to see because we all seen this before. But here we go.
You mean this video could say it better than David could say it right now? This is David.
When you've got Frank Sinatra and Pete Seeger in your press kit, Leonard Bernstein and Willie Nelson, when your resume includes Charles Mingus and the Pennsylvania Opera, Woody Fest and Hollywood, you are a different kind of cat. No one has made a more sustained and significant career out of being a different kind of cat than David Amram. Plays by latest count 35 instruments from dozens of countries, has written operas with Joseph Papp and cantatas with Langston Hughes, Broadway scores for Arthur Miller and with Jack Kerouac, introduced jazz to beat poetry reading. The Washington Post calls Amram one of the most versatile and skilled musicians America has ever produced. Wynton Marsalis calls him a godsend to those who believe in the power of music to change lives and inspire. He's won Lifetime Achievement Awards in jazz, film, and folk, written orchestral pieces based on Latin roots music and the songs of Woody Guthrie, served as State Department Goodwill Ambassador, and written film scores for hits like Manchurian Candidate and Splendor in the Grass. He's been composer in residence for the New York Philharmonic and Shakespeare in the Park, and there is a cheese named after him. He does have one steady gig. He cooks the corn every year at the Putnam County 4-H Fair. A different kind of cat. How do you describe a career like that? How does he describe it? I am a full-time student, he says, at the University of HANGOUTOLOGY. By hanging out, I mean being in the presence and the world of those who know more than you do and allow you to share a little bit of that wisdom. So when people say I'm a scholar or pioneer of world music, I say I am an ethno-funkologist and explain that funk means the undocumented and indescribable essence of what each type of music says to your heart. Amram never set out to be eclectic. He simply loved it all. When there was something that touched me, he says, I tried to get closer to it. I never really thought about what I was doing until later. You look for the beauty part, along with the part that reflects the struggle and reaction to the horrors of life. He hears that same journey in the blues and Bach's B minor mass, in Irish ballads, Jewish and Middle Eastern songs of prayer. A moment came when he was 24 that defined his career, though he didn't know it. While studying composition and arrangement on the GI Bill, Charles Mingus asked him to join his band. David told him he was going to college. You'll learn more with me, Mingus said. So David joined, but he kept going to college. He was learning in both places. Why choose? He would follow it all. As his reputation for eclecticism grew, offers came to write Broadway scores and operas, soundtracks and orchestral pieces. He performed with the global artists igniting the world music movement, a revolution his eclecticism helped foment. He loves to tell the story of trying to convince conductor Eugene Ormandy about the beauty of Native American music. "It's too simple," Ormandy complained over and over.
"It sounds the same as too simple. It's monotonous."
Amram played him an intricate Cheyenne war chant. Ormandy stared at him, then said,
"It's too complicated."
For all Amram's star-studded history, he loves nothing better than jamming all night at folk festivals. He often hands out simple folk instruments that anyone can play because he loves the sound of music being expressed without the veneer of expertise. It's easier to hear the human heart inside.
Oh, my darling, please go back to me. Sweet, please, we everybody.
I don't jam because I feel like I'm doing anybody a favor, he says. It's being surrounded by the beauty of the moment. We're all here to share. We all love music. So let's get down to the get down. David wears a thick stack of trinket-laden necklaces, or to us they look like trinkets. To him, they're people. The big lion is students who performed his 12th night opera and gave it to him instead of a party because they had to study for exams. The Star of David is Israeli songwriter David Brosen. The white ivory, Pete Seeger. And the little French horn is Dizzy Gillespie. When they performed a memorial for Thelonious Monk, and Dizzy said they'd reached that age when it's time to put something back in the pot. Of course, Amram's always given back to the music that gives him so much, because he's always seen music as a family, the family of the human heart.
Thank you.
Asked what advice he'd give young people, he chisels his words carefully, measuring them like downbeats. When you're told by experts that there's no market for what you're doing, no demographic, that your music is passé, a waste of time, an unrealistic pursuit, an adolescent way of planning your life, accept all that wise counseling, then hang out with somebody else. And that's the word from the Dean of the University of Hangoutology, David Amram. A different kind of cat.
Curious as to where you are now. How do you categorize yourself? Are you a jazz composer or? Well, Nat, I've been around a great deal of the world. I heard a lot of kinds of music ever since I was a kid. And I'd say now where I'm at is the very beginning.
Wow. Awesome.
Whoa.
Beautiful. Yeah.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, it looks like there should be 8 volumes from what I've seen.
Yeah.
He's working on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I never get tired of watching this.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you all for hanging out tonight.
That was a wonderful coda.
Thank you, Nenad.
We will do it on April. I'll tell you exactly which April. April, just a moment. Yeah, 22, 23. April 4th. April 4th at 8 p.m. New York time, April 4th.
Sounds
So,
good.
Good night, everybody.
Great to see
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks so much. for having
Thanks,
me.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Night, David.
Bye.
So,
Night, everyone.
good night, Nenad. Laku noc.
Laku noc. Let me just see how do you do this.
Good night, David.
How do I do this?
Okay, Michael.
See you in Queens, David. One of these